Good morning, Green Spring. Today is Friday, September 15. I'm Elke Martin, your host, and my guest in the studio today is Elena Keydel. You know her as the Resident Services Coordinator in Hunters Crossing, or social worker, as we like to say.
That's what we like to say,
That's what we know.
That's right, yeah,
These other fancy titles.
Exactly.
What is that supposed to mean?
Exactly, yeah. No, we are social workers, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Good to have you here.
Good to be here, good to be here.
And you have something to say.
Yes, so today I want to talk about an important topic that we don't really like to talk about, but very, very important, and that's Garden Ridge. And the services and the benefits of Garden Ridge, and just making sure all residents are really aware of them. A lot of times people wonder, when is an appropriate time to move to Garden Ridge? And, do I have to move to Garden Ridge?
I was going to say, I think we wonder that more, because it's something most of us dread rather than, oh, when is it time?
And why do you dread it?
Well, how do I say this in an appropriate way? I have not always been pleased with what I've seen there. Mm-hmm. And of course, the big picture, what I dread is loss of independence.
Sure, yeah.
And maybe pain, which I think is the worst.
So I would say to all three of those, I think all of our residents have heard stories about Garden Ridge where, things did not go as maybe they should. And I would say, first of all, that bad news travels faster than good news.
That's right. That's right.
People complain about their bad experiences. They don't tell you about their good experiences.
Well, I have experienced it. I have not heard it, so it's different.
Very true. Very true.
But I also know that they're really trying to make improvements.
Yes.
It's just like most things at Ericsson, it's Ericsson.
It takes time.
Slow.
It takes time.
Yeah.
But I will say, they are improving. I know one of the big things we hear is staff levels, and that is definitely improving. A lot of our residents had experiences in Garden Ridge during COVID, which I think everybody would be the first to say was not the best time to be in Garden Ridge.
But that was across the industry.
Exactly.
I think. I don't think that's specific.
And I think also it's important to recognize that what was going on in Garden Ridge and in independent living while we were in COVID is very different from the way things are now. So if you had an experience or you heard about an experience of somebody who was in Garden Ridge during COVID, give Garden Ridge a second look, a second thought.
Okay.
Because they do provide excellent care, and also they've just undergone this great renovation, so they have all these beautiful new rooms. So a lot of times residents will say, "Oh, I was in Garden Ridge 5 years ago."
That was very different.
And that's very different than it was 5 years ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So go take one of the tours. They're doing open houses. They're actually doing one next week on September 21st from 2 to 5.
So glad you're here.
So you can go check it out. But even if you can't make one of the open houses, give admissions a call, and they would love to take you on a tour and just let you see the new building, the new space, what the new apartments are. They're really lovely spaces and apartments.
I've seen some of them. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right. But in my mind, if I have to think about when will I move there, just as important or more important is the care.
Exactly. And you also mentioned the loss of independence.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's, when you think about what do I dread?
Absolutely. So a lot of our residents that move to assisted living actually move to increase their independence, because by the time they're needing assisted living, they're having trouble getting around the giant campus of independent living. So, they're not able to go out and have dinner with friends. They're not able to go to activities. Everything's just a little harder. The campus is so big. They need a little bit of help, but maybe not necessarily an aide in their apartment all day, every day. So assisted living is so great because it provides that care without having somebody in your apartment all the time, which I know a lot of our residents don't like. But it's it's a much smaller environment.
That's a really good point.
So it's not, the 10-minute trip from Village Square to Town Center, Village Square to Hunters Crossing,
or from Oak Hill to the rest of the world.
Exactly. Yeah. It's out your apartment and down the hall, and you're at the social for the day.
Now,
you're
the
at
other
dinner.
thing that was my major unhappiness is the food. There's just that I know that they're trying, but it's just abysmal. Sorry.
So I believe they've improved the food. You know, and like you say, always room for improvement, always things to work on, you know, but I think it's also the same recipes and the same cooks and everything as they have in independent living. You know, so the food may be prepared differently given that needs of residents in Garden Ridge may be
some
different.
people have special needs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that taking a second look at it, and you know, the bad experience that you had may have just been a one-time
Well, it was
thing.
a mixed experience. There are also, like you said, there are also good aspects.
Yeah.
There were a few nurses who were impressive.
Yeah.
And so I sent letters of recommendation.
Yeah.
And then there were others that were just totally inappropriate, I thought. And then there is a wonderful, wonderful social worker. You know,
Yes.
Melissa
Melissa
just
is
outstanding.
fabulous. The other thing I always tell residents is a lot of our residents have experiences on the short-term rehab floor.
Yes.
And that is vastly different from assisted living.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So
why is that? Or how is that different?
So when you're on the short-term rehab floor, it's somewhat frenetic. There's a lot of activity, a lot of, you know, there's nurses going in and out, there's PT going in and out, you know, just it's very, very busy. You're not feeling your best because you're probably coming out of a hospital visit. Exactly. But, you know, when you don't feel good, how you look at things get clouded. And, you know, whereas assisted living is, again, it's like independent living, only that smaller environment.
It's like a small contained world. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So it's you know, the staff is just for assisted living. You know, it's much more of a community. You get to know the staff in a way that you don't in short-term rehab.
Definitely.
You know, so it's also quieter and calmer and.
Well, and you get to know your neighbors.
You get to know your neighbors.
Because you probably eat with them, or
exactly. Yeah, you get to know the people on your floor.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very different.
In the same way you do in independent living. I know a lot of our floors have, you know, floor dinners kind of thing.
Yeah, or hall parties.
Or hall parties, or yeah. So that same idea. You get to know your neighbors. You get to know your hall. You're participating in activities with them. You get to know people on other floors. You know, in assisted living, you can absolutely come back to independent living for activities, for dining. So, you know, I know we have residents in assisted living who come back and dine with their friends a couple times a week.
Yeah, I used to have a friend in assisted living and brought her over in a wheelchair because, like you said before, the long distances are a challenge. But, you know, there may be somebody in the circle of friends who can overcome that.
Yeah. Or, you know, we have residents who get on the shuttle and come back to independent living and, you know, participate in activities. Excuse me.
Sorry.
So, you know.
It's not COVID, it's allergies.
It's not COVID. I promise it's not COVID. I took a test earlier. It's not COVID, I promise. Yeah, so, you know, lots of benefits to assisted living. Again, providing that care to keep your independence. So you're still able to go to activities, to go to dinner, to visit with friends, to be up and about and moving about because it's just that smaller environment. And the care is there when you need it. You know, that's the other thing. We have a lot, you know, residents that need help, but it's not like they only need help in the mornings, you know. Some residents have home support 2 hours in the morning and they're good. Other residents kind of need help throughout the day, but not necessarily on a set schedule. And
maybe not a lot.
And not a lot, yeah, exactly.
So you don't really need a person all the time.
You don't need the 4 hours or exactly. But, you know, for the 10 minutes that you need help, you need that help greatly. So again, assisted living, the person is there when you need it. The staff is there when you need it and are able to come help you, and then you can continue to go about your day and your activities. And so, you know, something to keep in mind is you're needing more help. A lot of questions I get about, you know, how do you know when it might be time to look at a higher level of care, whether that's care in the apartment and independent living, which is an important thing to think about and know that you can have either one or a transition to assisted living. And maybe it is a step. You start with care in the apartment, and when that's no longer sufficing or working for you, we look at it independent or assisted living. So the great Dr. Sethi, I have to give Dr. Sethi credit for this, came up with MORE, M-O-R-E.
Yes.
So when you're having more medical complexities, things are just a little bit more complicated. You're having more trips to the medical center, maybe more trips to the emergency room because things just aren't quite right, and so you call security. Security sends you to the ER. In assisted living, there's a nurse there that can come check things. So if you're having more medical complexities, you're needing more oversight. So again, we were talking about an aide in the apartment. So if you're a little weaker and starting to fall a little bit more, but again, don't necessarily need somebody there 24/7, but you need help periodically, more oversight, more help. Maybe you're needing help with your medications. Again, little things. You don't necessarily need help all the time, but it's starting to add up. You need more of that oversight.
MO, so now what's for R?
MO, so R, reducing risk/rehab. So again, in rehab, doing more rehab, maybe you're falling a little bit more, you're just weaker.
Yeah.
Again, the community.
Or insecure.
Or insecure.
They
Again,
have a wonderful rehab people over there.
They do. Yes. Again, that the larger independent living community is just getting to be too big, and so you're finding you're isolating a little bit, which leads us to E. So we have MORE. E is exercise or activity. So again, wanting that to continue that exercise and that activity, but getting to the town center gym is just too far.
Oh yeah.
Getting to activities from Oak Hill to town center, is
or Forest View.
Or
up
Forest
the
View.
hill. Are you kidding?
Exactly. You've done your exercise by the time you get
That's
to the fitness center.
Right.
Yeah. So again, you're wanting that exercise, that activity, but it's just too much to go out to the activities in independent living. It's too far to go, and so you're starting to get isolated. I think one thing COVID has shown us,
if you give up exercise,
and you get weaker, and so
then you fall more.
It's a cycle. Exactly. You're not going out in your apartment, so you're more isolated. Which gets into the whole loneliness aspect of things, which we have shown in the last several years is detrimental to your health. But as you say, you're also getting weaker, so you're starting to fall more, and it just cycles. So having that exercise or that activity, again, if you're in need of that or desiring that, the transition to assisted living.
So more complexities, oversight,
reducing risk or rehab,
and energizing. No, exercise.
Exercise activities. Okay. Yep. So more. Yeah. So you're needing more.
If you feel or you're honest with yourself and you are at that point, then you do what?
So I would say the first step is talk to your doctor. Come talk to one of the social workers. Let's talk about what you need. Excuse me. It may be what you need is a round of PT. It may be you need some home support. It may be we start talking about a transition to Garden Ridge for a year from now. Just because you come talk to us doesn't mean we're going to move you to Garden Ridge next week.
I think it would still be my decision, no?
It would absolutely still be your decision. So that is a really important.
It will also be my money.
It will be.
I mean,
it's
let's
your
not
money.
Forget that.
Yeah.
It's not just
it is your decision.
Move over there.
No, absolutely, it is your decision, and we're going to talk to you. We being the social work team, we're going to talk to you about the benefits of staying in your apartment versus moving to assisted living. For some people, staying in their apartment is absolutely the right decision. It may be that it's the right decision right now.
Right.
And 6 months from now, a move to Garden Ridge.
Sure.
So what I usually encourage my residents when we start this conversation is, okay, let's talk about some home support. Let's talk about some physical therapy. But I want you to go tour assisted living.
Now tell me, when I tour assisted living, they made the rooms bigger, or some are apartments, right? You don't have a kitchen, but you have more than one room.
So they
Do you bring your own furniture?
Yeah, so they have 1-bedroom apartments and studio apartments.
Okay.
And they have kitchenettes, so like mini fridges and microwaves you can bring kind of thing, because you get your 3 meals a day plus snacks from the kitchen, so no need to cook. And then all the rooms have their own bathroom. All the rooms have closets, and I got to tell you, some of those closets, really excellent, really excellent. The one bed.
I would think once I live in assisted living, why would I need a big closet?
Some people have lots of clothes.
Oh, sure. But isn't that the time you give them away?
You definitely are going to be downsizing, but
Yeah.
Some people still have a lot of clothes.
Okay.
But yes, you were asking about furniture. So you bring your own furniture, you bring your own belongings, you bring the things that make home to you. So pictures, tchotchkes, books. I know for me, very important to have books around.
Absolutely.
You know, so you bring your own furniture, music. Yep. You know, you can decorate the walls with pictures as you like. That kind of thing.
So this is not the stage where you get a hospital bed.
Not at all. Okay. Not at all. Yep. So if you need a hospital bed, they can absolutely work with you to make sure you have that. They do have rooms that can be furnished. You know, so if just trying to move your furniture, trying to figure it out is just overwhelming, or your furniture really doesn't work in the new space.
Yeah,
or,
some people have
you know,
really big
some people
furniture,
have really
right?
big furniture.
Massive,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever you need, like Garden Ridge can work with you. We want to make this as easy as possible for you to make this transition, because we recognize it's a big transition. It's a big change.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to just mention memory care. That's our, you know, wing for Alzheimer's, our patients.
And dementia, right?
And dementia, all kinds of dementia, not just Alzheimer's, you know, a great space for our residents that really need the hands-on care and staff that are trained in working with residents with dementia. It is a secure floor, so, you know, a lot of time residents with dementia may wander a bit. This allows them to do that safely. Again, a very
And it also allows the other residents to be safe.
Exactly.
Because I remember many years back there were people showing up in assisted living bedrooms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they certainly didn't belong.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so, you know, it allows a safe space for our residents with dementia, activities and programming very specifically aimed at residents with dementia and, you know, their level of cognition and ability and that kind of thing. So, again, you know, as our residents age and have dementia, another thing to consider, and you know, really great care. And again, every resident gets their own room in memory care, you know, their own space, so you still have that privacy. Right? Their own bathroom, yep. So, you know, still have that privacy, you know, still maintain that, you know, even in.
And if you are in a couple and one needs to move over to memory care, the other one stays in their apartment here in IL. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So we have several residents where one half of the couple has moved to memory care or assisted living, and the other couples, you know, the other half stays in independent living. We also, in assisted living, if you as a couple are looking to move to assisted living, you know, we can either do a one-bedroom that would have both of you in there, or they're able to do, they have some combo units where they've taken two studios and like put a doorway between them kind of thing. So again,
like in some hotels.
Exactly. You have a little suite. You know, or they're able to do two studios right next to each other, or so, you know, again, really working with the individual residents, the individual couple to get a fit that works for you. You know, we have some residents that very much want to stay together with their spouse and be in the same room. We have some residents that are like, oh no, across the hall is good enough for me, you know?
Well, some people have been caregivers for a long time, but they may need a break.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, again, that very personalized, very individualized care, you know, down to the type of room that you have, you know, making sure you have what you need. You know, there's space to be outdoors. Garden Ridge has this beautiful center.
Oh, that's right, a courtyard?
Courtyard, thank you, that's what I'm looking for. You know, that every time I walk through there when the weather's nice, there's residents out sitting.
Right.
You know.
Sometimes there are activities.
There's activities out there, really lovely. So, really lovely space. So, you know, I really encourage our independent living residents to go check it out.
And also the big, is it called the balcony, the screened-in?
They have the screened-in
off of
balconies.
The dining room
exactly.
On each floor. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, so lots of opportunity for, you know, outdoor space, outdoor areas to get fresh air, you know, as you say, even the screened-in balconies. So, you know, if you on a day when it's raining but you want some fresh air, that's still available.
Rain and warm, good combo.
Yeah, exactly. So
to me, it all hinges on the staffing and the training. And if I understand they're working on that,
they're absolutely working on it.
Noticeably better than it used to be. That's really impressive.
And it's definitely something that they're aware of and working to improve. And as you say, I mean, it takes takes time. It takes
Yeah,
time to
yeah.
train staff, to hire staff, and to hire good staff. I mean, we don't want them hiring staff that are going to
Sit
quit
in
in
the
6
corner
months or
and
sit in the corner.
look at their cell phone.
So it takes
That's
time
right.
to do that. But
Yeah,
we've got a
yeah.
great leadership team over there, and
Yeah,
they're
and
really
I think
working
they
to improve
also
it.
work really well with the resident health committee,
Yeah.
who are also a great group. And
Yep.
so it's good that they actually talk and listen to each other. I think.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know the relationship between assisted living, or between Garden Ridge and independent living, they're really working to make that smoother at a staff level. When I started working here about 7 years ago, they were very separate. They were sort of separate
Right,
silos.
it's
And
over there.
yeah, you're over there. And that was true even at the staff level. And now, I'm in meetings multiple times a week with Garden Ridge staff, and we're in constant communication and really working together and
I
recognizing.
see that with the therapy people.
Exactly, yeah. And the therapy people go back and forth. So the therapist that you've seen in independent living is likely the therapists that you'll see in assisted living or short-term rehab. Or,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, that whole continuum of care. And,
Yeah.
and that is something to keep in mind. A lot of our residents, when I do their pre-residency meetings as they're moving in, talk about part of why they've chosen Green Spring is that continuum of care.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
so, remembering that
Yeah.
as you age and need
Right,
more help.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. It's
Yeah.
not something to look forward to. It's not a goal in life to be so
Exactly.
weak that you have to leave your independent apartment.
Exactly.
But we all know it may happen, and
It may
that's
happen,
why
and
we paid all
the
this
care
money.
is there when you need it. And,
Yeah.
and as we talked about, that a lot of our residents, they move to assisted living and have a new lease on life and gain that independence back that they maybe had been losing in independent living.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. So I would encourage all of our residents to go take a look at the new Garden Ridge.
Okay. Do you have a flyer there for a specific event, or does the flyer say everything that you just said in fewer words?
So there is an event next Thursday, September 21st, from 2 to 5. There'll be tours. There'll be light small bites to eat. You can meet the leadership team, tour assisted living and memory care, and just learn about the new Garden
And you
Ridge.
just show up, or do you sign up somewhere?
So you do sign up. You want to email Kamal, or if you call Garden Ridge, and I think they'll have a flyer that will be on the scroll in the next day or so.
Okay.
So you'll
and
see
then
it.
hopefully
And
on the bulletin boards.
And on the bulletin boards, yeah. It had just come out when I was on
okay.
here, so,
Still warm.
Yeah, it's still warm. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So it can be found now that you know that this is coming next week. If you're interested, look around or just call Garden Ridge.
Exactly.
Like Elena said. This is great. This has been more information than I expected, so thank you. I'm glad we had the time. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
And
It's
you
good to
have a
chat with you.
wonderful weekend.
Thank you.